Hi 7th graders, today you'll be doing lesson 7.1.7, percent increase and decrease. Make sure you have your book out, you've shown your teacher your homework from last night, and the book page is 410, or you can open lesson 7.1.7 in the e-book. Pause the video if you need to, and then press play again when you're ready. (7.1.7) Percent of what? Percent increase and decrease. Perhaps you have heard an adult say something like, "When I was growing up, it only cost a dime to go to the movies." The rate at which prices increase over a period of time, called inflation, is one of the things that mathematics can help you understand. In this lesson, you will be using diagrams and computations to calculate the way quantities like cost or height change. As you work today, keep the following questions in mind. Is it increasing or decreasing? What is it changing from? And how much did it change? The first problem we'll do together is 776, so you can write that in your notebook. It says, several years ago, Joe started a lawn care business. Due to rising costs, he needs to increase his prices. He is concerned, however, because he has heard that if he raises his rates more than 33%, he might lose his business. At right is a letter he sent to his clients. The letter says, "Dear valued customer, after several years of business, MoCare is increasing its price for lawn service. Since the cost of gas and other supplies has increased, we need to raise our prices. Our prices will increase from $12.50 per hour to $15 per hour. We hope you continue to be happy with the quality of our work. Sincerely, Joe." Joe began to wonder about how the increase in his fees could be expressed in terms of percent. A. Joe wants to determine the scale factor, the multiplier, for the price increase and wrote the following equation. $12.50 times x equals 15. Explain how this expression represents his situation. What does x represent? Okay, so I have $12.50 is the original price, and then I'm multiplying that by multiply by x, which is the amount. I'll move this down so you can see it, but this is my answer for A. X is the amount of the increase in price this equals $15, the new price. Okay, so X is how much they are raising the prices by. B says, solve the equation above to determine the scale factor for his change in fees. Represent this multiplier scale factor as a fraction, decimal, and percent. So what it wants me to do is solve for x. So B, you need to write the equation first. Remember, you're doing the same thing in your notebook. I want to get rid of 1250 times x. I need to get rid of the 1250 so that I have x by itself to figure out what x is. So to undo multiplying by $12.50, I'm going to divide by $12.50. And if I do that to one side, I also need to do that to the other. Okay, so on the left, I'm left with x because 1250 over 1250, those cancel and that equals 1. Equals 15 divided by $12.50. So you can do that on your calculator quick. If you do it, the math for it, you should have got $1.20, 1.2. Okay. So our scale factor is 1.2, and it wants me to write it as a fraction, a decimal, and a percent. So that would be a decimal. A fraction, I have a whole, which is 100, plus 20 more. So that would end up being 120 over 100. So 1 whole equals 100, plus the 2 tenths, the 20 hundredths is 20 hundredths more. And that helps us write the percent, because anything, as long as it's out of 100, I know that the numerator is the percent, so it would be 120%. So the percent increase is 120%. Okay, C for the same problem. How could the situation be represented on with a line diagram? With your team, copy and complete the diagram below, then answer and do the following. So first, I'd like you to start by pausing the video and drawing this diagram right here. First, we need to start by, it says complete the diagram. So if you look here, it looks like the top is dollars. So here I know that I'll start with $0, and then my original cost is $12.50, and I know it increases to $15. Okay. And then my percent, I know that this part was 100% of my cost, but then I increased it, and based on my math here, it was 120%. So I have the 100%, and then that would mean that the price increase was 20% more. So then this total increase down here is 120%. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and answer my questions for C, so you need to have those in your notebook also. What portion of the diagram corresponds to the original price? Circle and label this part original. Okay, so my original price was when it only cost $12.50, so this is my original price. So you need to do the same in your notebook. Then it says which portion of the diagram corresponds to the change in price, and then circle and label that. So the change is this extra amount here on how much it's increasing. So this here would be my change. So my original plus my price change gets me to my new price of $15. D says, when Joe raised his prices, what was the percent increase? That is another way of asking, what percent of the original price did the price change? Should Joe expect to lose his business? So where it changed and the percent increase, I have 100%, and then it increased an additional 20%. So the percent increase equals 20%. So that you should have that in your notebook also. It says, should Joe expect to lose his business? And if you remember going back to his letter, it said that at 33% is when you might lose business. Should Joe expect to lose his business? And the answer for that would be no, because he did not increase his prices more than 33%. So he should not expect to lose his business because he only raised them 20%. Pause the video if you need to finish writing your answers down. 77. Paige needs your help. She wants to convince her grandmother to let her sign up for a rock climbing class. The class normally costs $50, but the school is offering a special price of $34. Paige's grandma wants to know what percent of the cost of the class she would save. It says, without calculating, estimate the percent of the discount. So when I think about this, the easiest place for me to start would be 50%. So if the class costs 50% less, it would be half of $50, which would be $25, but it's more than that. So then I think half of $25 would be $12.50. So that'd be 25% would be $12.50. And if I subtract $12 off of $50, I would end up with $38. So I'm going to say it's a little bit more than 25%. So I'm going to guess about 30%. You might have a different estimate, but I'm going to guess it's about 30% because I know it's less than 50%, but more than 25%. B says, with your team, determine the percent change in the price of the class. Use the prompts below to help guide your team's discussion. First, it says to draw a diagram or write an equation that represents the situation. So I think that if I look back at my original, I like this equation here better because I have just a simple equation and it might be easier to solve. So I think I'm going to start with, I have the class originally cost $50. So I'm going to model it like this original one. The original cost times x equals the new cost. So the original cost was $50 times x, and that's going to equal $34. What's the original, the whole value? Indicate this on your diagram or on your equation. So I'm going to write an O for original, and the original is the $50. The percent change is going to be x. So I'm going to write a C for change because that's how much it's changing by. And then this one, it doesn't tell me to, but this is my new cost here. So it says, does this situation represent an increase or a decrease? And for this, my answer would be decrease because my total is becoming less, unlike the last equation. Okay, so now I'm going to solve for x to find out what the percent is she does save. So I need to get x by itself, so I'm going to divide by 50. That means I also have to divide the other side by 50. On this side, 50 over 50 equals 1, so I'm left with 1x. And then I need to do 34 divided by 50. And if you take a minute and do 34 divided by 50 on your calculator, you should get 0.68. So this 0.68 is the amount she is paying. So the amount she would save would be the opposite. So I'm going to take 100% and subtract out the 68% she still has to pay to find out how much she would save. So if I do the subtraction here, it looks like she will save 32%. So that's what she's asking, what the discount is. So it's a 32% discount, and she will save 32% of the total cost, and she pays 68% of the total cost. Okay, what I'd like you to do is finish any parts of 778, and then you can get your homework 80 through 85. Good luck, and ask your teachers if you have any help, need any help or have any questions.